Singletary, who is here with us in Colorado, all the way from Kentucky, to bring your child here into the program at IACD. I know that you've put in a lot of work to get funding covered for your child, and as we lobby for the same reasons, I wanted to share your story. But first, can you tell me about your child and his background?
So we started off as foster parents for our son, and very quickly realized that things were a little different with him compared to some of our other kiddos that we've had. Yeah, so his history was at 3 months of age, he was removed from his biological parents due to severe abuse. And during that investigation, they even found some healing fractures. So there had obviously been some past abuse as well. For us, when he would go into one of these rages, he didn't really have control. And so he might, pick up a toy and smash it on someone's face. And, it's pretty harmful. He gets almost like superhero strength when he gets into these rages. And he's been able to pick up, like a metal iron deck chair and just pick it up over his head and just throw it at you. This isn't, where he might just punch you or kick you. That's, I hate to say it, but you can almost just tolerate that. But this is more pretty severe behaviors where someone's eventually going to end up in an emergency room. And that did happen.
How old was he when all that was going on?
It started at 3.
Okay.
From 3 forward. Of course, when he was 3, he was young enough that we were able to, he really couldn't hurt anybody. He did sometimes hurt himself. He might bite himself, or he would punch himself a lot, things like that. But when it became to a point where he was actually sometimes hurting a sibling or hurting even one of us as his parents, was probably around 5 and a half. It was the first time that we actually had to go to a hospital because he had hurt his younger brother bad enough that it just wasn't safe for him to be home.
Did you try anything else before you came here, or how did you come upon the Institute?
Yeah, we had all sorts of the wraparound services. So we had help in school, we had help at home, we had in-home services, we had had where the therapist would come to our home, and at one point they brought someone in who was a specialist, and she spent 3 weeks with us, 5 days a week for 6 hours a day. And at the end of the 3 weeks, she was like, I have 0 recommendations for you guys. You're doing everything you're supposed to be doing. The problems really are on his end. So unfortunately, with him being in foster care, and even once we adopted him, we were very limited in what options we had. So for him, probably from the age of 5 to 8, or 5 to 9, he kind of rotated. He would live at home for a while, then his behaviors would get so bad and so dangerous, whether we were scared that he would either harm himself or others, that at some point he would have to be hospitalized. And then if he didn't improve there, then he would end up going to a psychiatric residential treatment facility. And then he would go to those the PRTFs, and never really would get better. They kind of just managed the behaviors. And they would have these point systems and these levels, and he would learn to totally master and manipulate those point programs. He knew, he would tell us sometimes, like, well, I know that I can be as bad as I want on Sunday and Monday, but as long as I'm good on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, I know I'll be able to do the fun thing on Friday night. He could figure out the point system, and he used it to his advantage. So they really just focused on the behaviors, but they really didn't focus on the underlying issues that were there. Him going to the hospital or the PRTF definitely gave the family time to heal and helped us put in some measures that when he would return, we would feel a little bit safer about the return. But each time that he would come home, he would want to go back to the hospital, or he'd want to go back to a PRTF. So he would just continue to escalate those behaviors until we would hit a breaking point again, where it just wasn't safe for either him or others. In school, he would bounce around from teacher to teacher, and classroom to classroom, and school to school even, where they kept trying to find the right fit. But every time, it basically, he would do well for a week or two in the classroom, and as soon as he would start to develop a relationship with the teacher, that's when everything would go crazy. And what I mean by crazy would be desks would be flipped over and chairs would be thrown. Um, if there was a microwave in the classroom, it would probably be destroyed. I mean, just whatever could be broke would be broken. And, the teachers would have to come up with a plan. If they said a key word, then all the students knew to run out to the hallway. And that's just not a good environment for anyone. And so even with them having not just the school counselors, but we would even pay for a therapist to come to the school and try to help give the teachers some ideas, and we just couldn't find the right answer. And so one of his hospitalizations actually was from where he had sent 2 teachers to the emergency room. These were 2 adult grown men that he had harmed bad enough that they had to go to the emergency room. And so we finally met with DCBS and said, something's got to change because we're just following the cycle over and over again. He's not getting better. Arguably, he's getting worse. Because he learns the program, then he'd go back there and superficially would look like he's making progress. When really he was just learning the point systems or learning the level systems and wasn't truly making progress. And even the PRTF where he was located was like, we don't know what else to do. So basically they said, well, what do you all think he needs? And we said, well, his number one issue is the reactive attachment disorder. And there are no facilities in Kentucky that specifically focus on reactive attachment. So they said, okay, fine, do some research and try to find somewhere that you think might be a good fit. And we kind of reached out to a lot of people, and the Institute for Attachment came up as one of the recommendations. So one of the things that really pushed us over the edge and kind of told us that this was meant to be, that for him to go to the Institute for Attachment, was my wife had to go to the Mayo Clinic to see some doctors up there. And while we were there, just by chance, the director, Forrest, was there giving an all-day presentation to all of the Mayo Clinic psychiatrists and therapists and psychiatric nurses. And so when we thought, as the Mayo Clinic, with him teaching the folks at the Mayo Clinic, that was something that really pushed us over the edge and said, this is a good program, this is where he needs to be.